Alright, hey there everyone. I'm here with Coach Adam today, and he's going to help me teach you guys about transitioning from straddle pins to side pins. Now at first glance you may be asking yourself, why would we want to do that? Isn't that going from a more dominant position to an inferior position or to a less dominant position? Yes, there is truth to that, that is the case. But sometimes it's better to do that than some other alternatives. For example, if we're in back control and our opponent begins escaping the back, they very well want to put us back into the guard. Okay? They want to get to their legs in the inside position and put me back in open guard. Now ideally, if I can hold on to the back and not lose back control at all, that's great. That's what we want to do. But in some cases you won't be able to. So when your opponent is escaping back control or the mount, the goal then becomes not to maintain the position, but at least minimize the damage done resulting from their escape. So again, if you can maintain the mount, or if you can maintain the back, do it. Stay in those positions, they're very dominant. But after you've been in jiu-jitsu a while, you're going to gain some experience, and that experience will let you know that as your opponent's escaping, sometimes you know the position's lost. You know the position cannot be recovered. And at that point, it's up to you to make the decision to transition to another pin rather than to try to hopelessly hang on to a position that's doomed to failure and then being put back into the guard. Okay, so that's all well and good. We know that we don't want to be put back in guard. We know we want to minimize the amount of damage done because of our opponent's escapes. How do we do it? Well, if possible, we want to stay inside our opponent's elbows so they can't use their elbows to frame. Our opponent always wants to use their elbows to frame and make space. We always want to work our way to the inside position of those elbows, so our opponent cannot use the elbows to make space. Now sometimes, during your opponent's escape attempts, they're going to get their elbows to the inside position, and then you won't be able to get inside the elbows. When that happens, then your focus shifts from getting inside the elbows to staying inside the knees and controlling the hips. You've done a lot of good work to get their legs out of your way, right? You passed guard or half guard or whatever you did to get to that dominant pin, and you don't want to be put back in guard. So if you can't stay inside the elbows to stop their elbow escape, at least stay tight to the hips and stay inside the knees so they can't get their legs and knees back in your way. Once we've shut those legs and knees out temporarily, and we've kind of regained our bearings and regained some degree of control, now we can begin the process of once again marching forward, going through the positional hierarchies, going from side control to knee mount to back, etc. Okay? So, with that theory out of the way, let's get to some practical application now. We're going to start in the mount position, and we're going to say our opponent's starting to escape. And rather than hang on to the mount, I'm going to show you how we can dismount, transitioning to our three other side pins: knee mount, side control, and north-south. Let's take a look. So I'm going to have you lay along with your eye. So here I get to the mount position, and Adam begins, let's work this side on the camera side, thank you. And Adam begins to work his elbow to the inside position, okay? If I hang on and maintain this, and Adam fights for it, and I'm holding, eventually he's going to find success and he's going to escape. So it's up to me at this point, as I feel Adam starting that escape, freeze. Right here, I realize that his knee's going to come into the inside position. So as I feel this happening, I'm going to take my heel to my butt, and I'm going to pummel my heel inside the knee on the near side, and I'm going to make a hook right here on the hip. My foot hooks. I make a sticky hook right here. And we move to a Shin Mount position. Now from the Shin Mount, if I want to get knee on belly points, let's rotate. If I want to be in the knee on belly from the Shin Mount, all I need to do is take my left knee off the floor. With my knee off the floor, if I hold this for 3 seconds, I'm now going to score knee on belly points. So I went from a mount position here, Adam started to escape, and I pummeled my foot and propped my left knee up. Now we're here in a knee on belly situation. Now a knee mount, while it can be a good pin for setting up your attacks, it's not the most stable position. Adam is starting the process of elbow escaping. He's starting to escape, so we probably want to regain some stability. So while you can stop a knee mount, it may also be in your best interest to dismount all the way to side control if you need to regain control. So again, I'm in mount. I once again feel Adam challenging. I'm going to dismount, pummeling my foot to this knee mount position here. And now, as Adam continues to try to turn into me and escape, stop right here. I feel he's bumping my weight away. My weight is coming off of the hips. I want to make sure that there's not enough space for him to shrimp and get his knees inside. If he does that, now he's getting back to guard. That's not acceptable. So as he starts to bump me off, I'm going to take my right hand and I pummel my hand here to the pocket of the hip. I post my hand right on the floor, right next to the pocket of the hip. Now when Adam tries to bring his knees back inside, my arm is going to block it out. Okay, so let's put that back. So I'm in this position here. Adam goes to elbow escape. I'm here. I get my cross face. Now I could hang out in knee mount, but as Adam goes to continue his escape, I take my hand to the floor right here, and I go over to a reverse cross face. I never want to leave both my hands on the same side of Adam's body. There's nothing stopping Adam from moving away. If he gives a good healthy push and slides away, he makes a ton of space. So as soon as I take this hand and I bring it to the near hip to shut out Adam's right knee, Adam's trying to bring that right knee in, he's right, I went to knee mount, he's going to bump me off. I take this arm position right here, and then as soon as I take my right arm position and block the near hip, I go to a reverse cross face. Now when Adam tries to move away from me, I have his head under my control. Now if I want to transition from mount to north-south, I just keep going from here. I go from mount to knee mount to side control right here, and then I just walk around. So let's say from right here, Adam is chasing me with his legs and hips. He's turned onto his right side. He's trying to snag my ankle with his feet, and he's doing this kind of stuff. In that situation, it may very well be in my best interest to come all the way up to north-south so I get away from the legs and hips. So guys, did you see that we essentially just did the same series of movements, but we stopped early at knee mount, we stopped middle of the way at side control, or we saw it all the way through to the finish in north-south. But they all started the same way. Going to side control, we started the same way as going to knee mount. Going to north-south, we started the same way as that we went to knee mount, we went to side control, and then we went to north-south. So it's just kind of a series of these three movements to stay inside his knees and control the hips, and to stay away from the legs. Okay, so one more time, we're in side control here, come a little bit more, yep. If I'm in here, I want to hold mount if I can. Now, as Adam goes to elbow escape, we saw some stuff last week. I can sometimes transition to a technical mount, right? You can do that. Sometimes you can try to make that work. Okay. Other instances, I may want to pummel over to a shin mount. He goes to escape. Maybe I take shin mount, and then I can re-pummel inside the elbow, walk, and I can remount. So just because we're losing the mount doesn't mean we have to dismount all the way to side control. Sometimes we can reclaim the mount. But other times, if you want to change your pinning strategy, maybe you were in mount for a while and your opponent has really good mount defense and you can't get anything going, and maybe you're thinking, okay, I'll try some stuff from side control. It might be in your best interest to go to side control. So we're here, he goes to start escaping. I feel like he's getting outside, pummel to shin mount. Now from shin mount, my left knee comes off the floor and I have knee on belly. And now I can hang out for knee on belly. If Adam continues to escape knee on belly and turns into me, I'm going to block the near hip and go to a reverse cross face. So that now, okay, he escaped knee on belly, but at least saved side control. Now from side control, he's going to continue to fight into me. Maybe he's going to try to snag my ankles with his legs and do this kind of stuff. And I'm like, okay, if I stay in side control, he's going to escape. So now I'm going to go the extra distance and I'm going to start moving around to north-south and get away from those legs. Okay? And then we saw in the north-south position, if he continues to turn up, we can walk around like a top spin. And now from here, we can look to step back over to the mount. And this is the notion of dynamic pinning. We continue to move and change our pinning strategy to accommodate for his escape strategies. So that was going from mount to side pins. Let's take a look at going from back control to side pins. We looked last week at as our opponent escapes back control, we want to stay inside and behind the elbow. If we can do that here, that's going to play greatly in our favor. We can maintain that position, keeping the elbow trapped across our center line, so we always have the back exposed, and so they can't elbow escape. So we're going to look at some situations like that, and then we'll look at some situations where maybe I'm not able to maintain the elbow position. He gets his elbow inside, and so my directive changes. Now I'm no longer concerned with staying inside the elbows. He's won that. So my focus changes to staying inside the knees and controlling the hips. Let's take a look at these. I have back control. Okay. Yeah, that should work. Let's say from back control, Adam starts to escape toward the camera here. Now, as he escapes, remember, Adam wants to take this elbow and get it between me and him. If he gets his elbow to the floor, he can use this elbow to frame and make space. He's going to turn onto his side. He's going to frame with this elbow. Turn on. It's framed. Yes, and now he can escape because he's got that elbow in his frame. We're a little close. Now, this time we go. So we saw he wants to get that elbow in between. So when I'm here, I'm going to try to get underneath and inside the elbow. When I'm here, I'm going to reach up for the far side of the head, and I'm going to grab a claw grip, taking a grip right around the neck. As I do this, I connect my head to Adam's head. Now when he tries to recover that elbow position, it's well caught. If my elbow comes away from Adam's head, he can swim his elbow up over, yes, so come back closer. So he can be very close. He just brings his elbow up and over, and I lose the elbow position. So I cannot let there be space between my head and his head. He brings his bicep to his ear, and he can now pummel his elbow free. So go back. So I need to keep my head against his head. When he tries to pummel that arm, my head blocks him. Now from here, he's pinned on my leg. I could try to come up to the mount position. But as I'm going to try to come up to the mount position, I feel Adam's going to start working on this ankle. He's going to try to capture it. He's got his right hand on the ankle, and he's going to try to push it into his guard, just like so. So come back. As I feel that happening, I'm going to pummel to the near ankle. As he tries to capture my leg, I go here, and I pummel. So he goes to push, I peel my leg away, and I make a hook right here. So now when he tries to bring his knee in between me and him, my knee controls his knee. When he tries to bring his elbow between me and him, my head and my left arm control his elbow. So even though, yes, he escaped back control, he can't use his elbows to make space, and he can't use his knees to make space. Okay? So that's the whole thing. We want to stay inside the elbows, so he can't make space with the elbows. We want to stay inside the knees, so he can't recover guard. Now let's look at situations where I start to lose the elbow. Okay? We're here. He pitches over to his side. I want to go to pummel inside the elbow, but as I do, I realize, oh, he's got that elbow to the floor between me and him. Okay? Now what I do from here is, I make sure I don't get this leg caught in guard. So as he's going to try to stuff my ankle, I pummel my ankle to the near side, and I make a hook. Now from right here, Adam is going to want to get onto his side and get his hips away from me to make space and recover guard. Right? Just like that. So when we're here, and he gets that elbow position, I can't get behind the elbow. He goes to capture my ankle. I pummel my ankle to a position of safety. Now this ankle, I'm going to use this hook to start shoving his hips off my leg. If I try to get up right now, I can't because his weight's on my leg. I'm going to use this hook to start pushing his legs off. And look at, I'm already connecting my elbow and my knee together. So as Adam turns into me and tries to escape, I find the far hip with my left hand. And we come up to a near hip knee wedge and a far hip elbow wedge. Another position, another name we use this is V mount, where I have a V frame across his hips. So even though he got his elbow back between me and him, he's got his elbows in good position, and he can use his elbows to start escaping. Even though his elbows can make space, go ahead, they can't make enough space to bring the legs and knees in because I'm controlling the pocket of the hips. Okay, I can come up right here, taking my right knee off the floor, and we have knee mount. So one more time. I'm in back control. Adam pitches over, he starts to escape and beat the head trap. I go to pummel inside and behind the elbow. If I get it, awesome. In this case, we're going to say we did get it. Adam got that elbow to the floor. So now I want to make sure I don't get caught in guard. So I'm going to take my foot, pulling it back to the near hip, and I connect my knee and my elbow together. I make sure that I don't let either leg penetrate between my knee and my elbow. As we come up to the top position, I'm going to use my hook to start kicking him off. And as he goes to recover, my left arm and my left knee find the hip line. It doesn't matter that my head and my chest are further away from him because I'm still crowding the hips. He feels like he's getting out because his head and his chest are free. He goes to turn and face me and start framing, but he finds to his horror that even though he's framing with his arms, he can't get his knees inside. He goes to get his knees inside, and he can't because my left elbow and left knee control the hips. Now from this position, all I do is I take my right knee off the floor, hold this position, and we're in the knee mount. From the knee mount, we could look to progress to the mount. Otherwise, we could look to take side control. All right, so let's see back control to side control now. That's back control to knee mount. Back control to side control is going to be very much the same, except now I don't bring my knee all the way up to the belly. I'm here, he escapes. I try to get behind the elbow, I miss. I'm here. As I come up to the top position, I put my knee on the floor, but I put my knee on the floor right next to his hip. Now, as I come up, I want to make sure his knee doesn't come between me and him, his left knee. That's a problem. So as I'm coming up, if I feel him coming in with that left knee, framing and making space, I'm going to take my left hand right here to the pocket of the near hip, putting it on the floor. Now when he tries to fight to bring his knee in, I just walk or move away from that knee, and his leg and knee cannot follow me because of this arm that blocks out the near hip. Now I come across the head with a reverse crossface. So I have one arm on the far side and one arm on the near side, and we have side control. Yeah. One more time. We keep getting too close to the camera. So he goes to escape. He clears the elbow position. Now I pummel my leg here to the near side of the hip. Maybe I want to try to come up into the knee mount, but as I come up, he shrimps his hip so he clears his hip from my knee. So I can't come up in knee mount anymore. Now the danger is this knee coming in my way. So when this knee starts coming my way, I take this hand, I thread it right here into the pocket of the hip, and I clear that leg out, and I cover the far side. And that is back control to back control to side control. Now same thing, if he starts trying to snag my leg, or if he starts turning up onto his side more, I might want to turn up or move around to north-south, just to get further away from the legs to make his escape more difficult. And so there you see, we can go from the back control to knee mount, from back control to side control, or from back control to north-south. Adam, you gotta work on your belt tying skills. He's been doing nothing but laying down the whole time, and his belt comes in tight. All right, now we're gonna go to extracting a trapped ankle. Okay, the last part of this video, as our opponent escapes back control, as our opponent escapes the mount, there's gonna be a period of time where sometimes they'll have your ankle, but not your knee. And they have us in something like a quarter guard or a 3/4 mount. We've learned how to deal with this before. This is just going to be a review. So we're going to cruise through this pretty quick. We saw this when we were passing half guard. Do you remember? Once we extracted our trapped knee from half guard, we then had to extract our trapped ankle. And we did that from one of 4 dominant passing positions. 3/4 mount, 3/4 side knee down, 3/4 side knee up, and reverse 3/4 side. In the event that my opponent escapes, and as they attempt their escape, they snag my ankle, it's going to be my responsibility to quickly recognize how the situation has changed, and then to find the correct solution. If he traps just my ankle, I've got to immediately find within my mental library, how do I extract my ankle from those 4 dominant positions? Let's quickly refresh your memory. So if I'm in the mount, and Adam uses foot fighting tactics to snag just my ankle, boom, excellent. Now we're in the 3/4 mount. If this happens, don't fret. Don't let him continue his escape and put you further and further into guard. Rather, we want to recognize what happened and we want to stop their escape. Let's set it up in the frame. So, when I'm in the mount, and he snags the ankle, I've got to stop him from getting my knee. So I'm going to make my knee very heavy. I can use a heavy pointed knee wedge. Do you remember that? I put my hips over my right knee, turning my knee in toward the hip. From here I can take a cross face, and I can force him to look the other way until he eventually lets go of his own volition. If he doesn't let go of his own volition, we can also use a free butterfly hook to start dominating the knees, dominating the space between the knees, prying the knees apart. And then from here, we take the mount. So that's from 3/4 mount. Okay? Let's say I'm in back control. And Adam starts to escape to this side. I want to try to pummel my legs to side control, but as I do so, he snags my ankle. And he escapes, puts his back on the floor. From here, I'm going to use my right elbow to make sure he doesn't capture my knee. When he goes to capture the half guard now, my elbow saves my knee. From here, I take a cross face. I wedge my left knee into the pocket of Adam's bottom hip, and we have the 3/4 side with our knee up. Okay. From here, let's rotate Adam. Now from this position, remember I take a butterfly hook on the bottom leg, I grab the knee pants, and I separate his 2 knees apart from each other. From here I can pummel my leg out, and now my right hand finds the pocket of the hip. So when Adam tries to bring his knees back in, my arm blocks it out, and we've extracted our ankle. So that's 3/4 side knee up. Another situation. As Adam escapes back control, he snags my ankle. Okay, so he slid his, I had the back, he slid his back off of my chest, and he snagged the ankle. We saw that we can pass from here. Otherwise, if I want to go to 3/4 side knee down, I can punch him an underhook on the far side, take my knee to the floor at the pocket of the near hip, and use a cranial crossface and control the elbow. Now from here, I just use my free leg to kick my heel free, and then to kick my toes free. Okay? The last one, let's say we're in mount, and an elbow escapes, gets my ankle, is that we can go reverse 3/4 side. I use a heavy pointed knee wedge, just like we did before. I take a crossface, just like we did before. Now I'm trying to take his knees apart, but it's not working. So I back step to reverse 3/4 side. I turn my knee down into the floor, so my knee's in the pocket of the hip. My right foot goes to the bottom knee. My knee grip goes to the top knee. I separate the 2 knees apart, and I free my ankle. Now from here, I take my right hand to the pocket of the hip. Now when Adam tries to recover his guard, he cannot. And now we can work around, and we can start working our way advancing position once again, retaking the back like we learned to do in previous lessons. I set you up for you. You have to get up.
The belt so fast. Good.
All right, so yeah, there you guys have it. If you have one of these dominant positions, the back or the mount position, and your opponent starts to escape, there are some techniques you can use to maintain those dominant pins. But if you feel like you are losing the pin, if you feel like you're going to lose the mount, or if you feel like you're going to lose back control, you have to recognize that you're going to lose the position, and then you have to change your strategies. If you know you're going to lose the position, why would you continue to hang on? That'd be to your detriment. If you feel that you're losing the position, you have to identify that you're losing it and then change your strategy. You've got to change to a new pin using dynamic pinning to go to a side control, knee mount, north-south, or just a new variation of the same pin. Once you can learn to identify your opponent's escape attempts and then change your pinning strategy and your pinning configuration to intercept their escape strategies, you'll be able to hold very knowledgeable and skilled opponents down in pins for long periods of time.